Well, Sahar joins me now in the studio. Sahar, this may have dropped out of some of the world media coverage over recent weeks. So what do women in Iran want the world to still know?
They want the world to know that Iran is full of Mahsa Aminis and that they've had enough. They want change. They want freedom. They're not asking for much. They're asking for basic human rights. And it's not just the women, it's everybody else in Iran.
Iran is, of course, a country that has a history of protest movements, isn't it? What's different about this one?
I'm so glad you're asking that question. It's very important. There were the big protests in 2019, the so-called Green Movement, which came out of rigged elections in favor of Ahmadinejad. And then there were protests in 2019, which was a result of the spike in fuel prices. What we're seeing is that each time, first of all, the protests are happening at much shorter intervals. And each time they re-emerge bigger, more radical. And the crackdown is always the same: cut down the internet, kill them, put people in prisons. But Iranians each time are coming out stronger. And right now they're on standby. Yes, a lot of the movement has got on the ground and they're doing preparations, but they're on standby for the next spark.
So the organisation is there?
Well, they're planning on creating it. These are people in a country that's been oppressed for so long. They haven't had the opportunity to have different political parties or to have political discussions. And now they're learning. They're starting from scratch. And they're coming up with ways to make sure that when the next spark happens, whatever it may be, in the same way that no one expected the killing of Mahsa Amini to become that spark, they're waiting for that next spark and they want to be more prepared. They want to know who the leaders are going to be. They want to have a more solid plan of action so that it's not just people going out, risking their lives, dying on the street. Over 500 people were killed, 70 of them children, as I said in the package. How to avoid those?
Do they feel neglected by the international community? And what more do they expect to see?
They do. When the protests first began, when Iran was in the news headlines, they were actually very happy because for the first time, a public that felt forgotten for so long felt that the world was hearing them, seeing them, that the world wasn't giving into the lies of the regime that, people in Iran want us. They were really happy, but then now they're so disappointed that not only has nothing been done on a political scale, but even the news headlines are forgetting about them. And no wonder many people think that the regime has won because the public protests have subsided. Because when crimes against humanity occur, as a UN expert said last week, and as many activists have been saying has been taking place in Iran, and the world does nothing and the regime doesn't face consequences, of course they're going to manage to quieten the public unrest. So it's now time for the world to support Iranians, whether on the ground or, political Iranians outside of Iran, to support them so that they can come up with a plan, so that they can find their leaders, so that they can have a clear plan of action. So when the next spark happens, they can have more of a chance at success.
OK. All right. Fascinating talking to you, Sahar. Thank you very much indeed for coming to talk to us here at Sky News.